Wonderful piece of footage there. That's Rome Total War 2. Still love playing that game. Probably need to restart a new campaign. Anyway, I was watching it and it got me thinking, because you can see the Testudo the Roman legionaries are in. That is the tortoise formation. And as it pans round, you can see the ones on the flank on the outside are holding their swords up. And it got me thinking, would that have really happened? Because I was once in a Testudo and it was purely in a training. I didn't do a great deal of reenactment, but I did some. And I can tell you this much, when you're in a Testudo, it's really, really confined. It's very, very tricky. It's quite difficult. You need a lot of training to be able to do that, to keep in step, because if one person goes over, everyone's going over. And to be fair, when you'd be employing these would be when you've got ranged fire upon you. So the last thing you want is a bunch of people rolling around on the floor when you've got slings and arrows and everything else being loosened upon you. So I thought perhaps the reason they don't have them in reenactments is also because of health and safety, because yeah, many of those weapons aren't often edged, but the points will still be sharp, and let's face it, it just looks like a novel beginning to a Final Destination film. But then I thought, well, actually, is it because of that, or is it because they wouldn't have had it like that in reality? I.e., the reenactment is true. It's not because it was a dangerous thing. They just chose not to utilise and show. It was actually because practically, when you're in a Testudo formation, you wouldn't have your sword out. Now, it's an interesting one, because when I look at some of the images we have, sort of modern versions of it, and even some like the model kits, you seem to see the swords out, and I think that's more an aesthetic thing. I think it just looks good, because the reality of it is, a Testudo, from what I could see, say on Trajan's column, it was interlocking shields above, and the people on the outside shields up, a bit like a car, if you can imagine. On the people on the flanks, on the outsides, well, they're going to have their shields up, not their swords, because if they don't, then that side's completely open. The other reason that you probably wouldn't want to have your swords out is because you won't need them, because presumably you're forming up the Testudo because there's ranged fire upon you, and there isn't. What are you going to do with a sword? You're not going to do anything with it. And then I also thought, well, there's also a balance thing going on here, because if you're the guys on the outside, you're going to need to hold the shield out, so you're using your outside hand. And if you're holding up the shield, perhaps you use one hand on the main shield grip, and the other hand just to hold it. So again, you need both these hands. And from a practical point of view, perhaps it's just not safe, even back then, to have your sword out whilst you're in Testudo. Just bad idea, bad practice, as it were. But anyway, just thought I'd bring that up because I saw the footage and I thought, oh man, I've got to start a campaign again. It's really cool. Perhaps, though, not as Rome. So if you've got any suggestions as to who I should do a new campaign with, stick them in the comments. And if you've got any questions at all, stick them in the comments. Thanks very much.